Welcome back to our daily top 5 gainers and top 5 losers analysis for May 23, 2019. Again, my name is JC De Guzman. Today, I will be discussing my technical analysis and then I will share with you my overall sentiment followed by my recommended plans of actions or trade setups for 10 different stocks. I'd like to remind you, by the way, that everything that you will hear from me in this video and in the succeeding videos will be all about short-term trading purposes. Just in case you will see an index stock in this video or in the succeeding videos, please know again that all of those insights are geared towards short-term traders. If you need my advice for long-term investing purposes, please refer to our investment guide for long-term investors tab, this one, or you post your question inside the private clients forum right here. Okay, let's go back to the trade setups for short-term traders. Let's begin with FNI. FNI closed on May 23 at 1.58. 1.58, that's already slightly above its 10-day simple moving average, and gladly it also closed above its volume weighted average price of 1.56. We are also seeing a bullish volume that is way higher than its 10-day volume average. However, on its as far as the alignment of its simple moving averages is concerned, I am not seeing a perfect bullish alignment yet. We can only see that I think this perfect bearish alignment when it will only reverse to its opposite once the price breaks above this resistance at 1.86. That's still a lot of work to do for FNI, but let's take things one resistance at a time. Okay, now despite this tall bullish volume and a seemingly tall green candlestick, let's see. Uh, yes, I am seeing a formation of a bullish convergence between MACD and the signal line, but but this MACD line I think will only cross above the signal line. We will only see a golden cross once my assumption or my estimate is that once the price draws closer, if not breaks above the resistance at 1.67. Okay. Meanwhile, foreign investors bought about 690,000 pesos. They did not buy, but they registered a net foreign buying worth 690,000 pesos on May 23. For 2019 year to date, they are net buyers for FNI. Okay, that's for 2019 year to date. Nonetheless, their participation is not that significant compared to the foreign investors' participation among the index companies. Okay, now RSI is still far from the classical overbought or oversold level. There's still a lot of room, a lot of space for FNI uh, to dance all the way to its resistance or support level. Now for the DMI, although we are seeing the positive DMI moving above the negative DMI, the ADX line here tells me that the upward momentum is still not on a very strong category, not on that level yet, and I think we will only get there. We will only see a strong upward momentum category for FNI once the price crosses above the resistance at 1.67. Support is at 1.45, by the way. Okay, let's take a look at the trade and volume distribution chart of FNI. All right, so let's take a look at this one, 1.51. Do you think this is a legit? This is a legit trade, sir? What do you mean by legit? What is an what how does it look like if it's a legitimate trade? Well, what I mean by that is that do you think there's a possible cross trade? There's a big cross trade happened at 1.51. I think this is a legitimate trade because if it were not a legitimate trade, then we would only be seeing a huge volume with very little trade percentage here. For example, if you are seeing a 95% volume, then you're seeing 1%, 1% uh, trade here, then it could be purely a cross trade. But I think there's still a significant amount of cross trade that happened at 1.51. Imagine this: 95% of today's volume happened at 1.51. Yet that particular price point only got about 10% of the total number of trades for the entire day. Take a look at 1.58 and 1.59. Each got almost a quarter each of today's total number of trades. So, if we are to eliminate the number of cross trades at 1.51, therefore we will not be seeing 1.51 as a dominant price point. So we're going to disregard those possibility of having huge cross trades that happen at 1.51. Therefore, I am going to give the score for the most dominant range towards the for the bulls, and that would be between 1.55 to 1.59. Okay, 1.55 to 1.59. That's the dominant range for me. And that's closer to the intraday high than the intraday low. All 4 points that we are monitoring are present on FNI. How about our 10 SMA and MACD combo? Were the conditions satisfied or met? Number one, the price is above the 10 SMA. However, the MACD line is still below the signal line. So the 10 SMA and MACD combo is not true in this case. Not yet. Not yet. Okay, but the 4 points that we're monitoring are all present. Therefore, you have a data-driven reason to what? To do a test buy. Where? Within the dominant range that I've shown you a few seconds ago. Okay, if you don't have FNI, then you can either continue monitoring the stock, don't buy just yet, or you do a test buy within the dominant range that I've shown you a while back. Okay, dominant range, don't forget that. If you have FNI, there's a possibility for this stock to just trade the range between 1.45 to 1.67. So I suggest that you consider locking in some profits near 1.67. Okay, and then follow your trailing stop loss for the remaining tranches or remaining shares that you have in your portfolio if you have FNI. Okay, there you go. I'm bullish on FNI in the short term, but I suggest that you lock in some profits near 1.67 unless you see a strong momentum being maintained when the stock is already at 1.67. Okay, you can ask for my latest analysis of this stock inside the private clients forum when you see some significant moves or price movements happening. Okay, next stock we have ISM. ISM closed on May 23 at 6.42. Support is at 5.21. Resistance is at 7.36. It's already moving above the perfect bullish alignment. Yes, I'm seeing a perfect bullish alignment among its 3 SMAs. It's also moving above its 10 SMA. And gladly, my 10 SMA, the conditions of my 10 SMA MACD combo have been always true since April 11. There you go. If you are following my 10 SMA and MACD combo, you should have considered entering a new position on ISM when? Either last April 10 or April 11. That was when the price was still at 5.16, 5.10 to 5.16, or maybe 4.94 to 5.16. Yes. Okay, MACD is still above the signal line. As I've mentioned, the conditions of my 10 SMA and MACD combo are still true. How about the presence of the 4 points that we are always checking? Are they present? Green candlestick, it closed above the VWAP of 6.30. Green bullish volume above at least above its 50% of its 10-day volume average. Okay, 3 out of 4 are already true. Now let me just show you the DMI. For the DMI, it shows here that ISM is already in a strong upward momentum category. Let's see the trade and volume distribution to see if it already completed the 4 points that we are checking. So ISM closed at 6.42. The dominant range here is between, it's quite scattered, and so it's quite challenging to identify the most dominant one here, the most dominant range, because it's if we are to hurry, it looks like the dominant range is between 5.99 or 6 to 6.6. So it looks like that looks like the dominant range for me. Okay, but if we are to be very highly selective or pretty strict in identifying one, I would say that the dominant range would be between 6.1 to 6.5. Still, that's closer to the intraday high than the intraday low. Okay, so all 4 points are perfectly present on ISM. Therefore, if you have had ISM, you have a data-driven reason to continue, either to continue holding on to your position or to top up. When you top up, where do you do that? At any price? No, no, no. You do that within the most dominant range. And if you don't have ISM and you're planning to trade the name, you can do a test buy within the dominant range that I've shown you. Okay? You can do that. All right. So next stock we have CPG. CPG closed today at 0.59 green candlestick. Yes, it closed above the VWAP 0.57. It's above the 10 SMA, and I am already seeing a perfect bullish alignment among its three SMAs. We get a green bullish volume bar. MACD is above the signal line. The conditions of my 10 SMA and MACD combo are true, and although the positive DMI is above the negative DMI, CPG is not yet inside the official strong upward momentum category. Not yet. Not yet. Maybe once it crosses above 0.61 or 0.62. Now let's take a look at its trade and volume distribution chart to see if the four criteria that we're checking are all present. Yes, they are. The dominant range is between 0.56 to 0.59. Okay, so you have again a data-driven reason either to hold your position or to top up if you have CPG. If you don't have CPG, you can do a test buy within the dominant range. But before you do a test buy, okay, I'm talking to you guys, for you who don't have CPG yet. For those who have had CPG, it's okay. You can either hold your position or you top up and respect your trading stop loss. But for those who are yet to enter, let me remind you that RSI is already excuse me, it's already drawing closer to its classical overbought level. Okay, I am not saying that once RSI hits the overbought level, I'm not saying that it will reverse automatically. No, that's not how we read RSI. This is only an indicator that tells us the possibility of reversals. I said possibility, probabilities, not assurances that guarantees that it will reverse once it hits 80. Okay, so is it possible? Why is it possible for the ascent in price to continue even when RSI is already 80% and above? Yes, of course. I've shown you lots of stocks in the previous videos that with RSIs that are already above the 80% level. Okay, so how do we check? How do you know? How would we know if the ascent in price is still strong even when RSI is already 80% and above? Well, the 4 point criteria that we're checking, if they are all present, then that means the traders of that stock are not yet tired of buying the stock up. They're not yet tired. They still have some cash to spend in buying. How would you know that they have gone tired of buying the stock up? Well, once all those 4 points are dying one by one, then you can say that they have gone tired of buying the stock up, and maybe they are already planning to realize their gains to sell. Okay, it's pretty simple. Okay, now the resistance of CPG is at the 61.8% of the up Fibonacci extension, which is at 0.64. The acting support is now at 0.56. Even when it draws back below 0.56, it will make 0.49 as its support once again. Let's take a look at CPG's. Oh, I think I already showed that to you. Now, the next stock in the list is T. Okay, TKC Metals Corporation closed today at 1.35. The acting support is at 1.22. It broke above its previous resistance at 1.22. And that one is now acting as its current support. Resistance is at 1.64. We are seeing a bullish volume here. Nonetheless, the alignment of the three SMAs is still in a perfect bearish alignment. MACD, because of this erratic ascent in price, made MACD cross above the signal line inorganically. That's what I don't like to see whenever I wanted to spot some stocks that are ideal candidates for a new entry. As much as possible, I want the ascent in price to be organic and not as erratic as this one. Okay, not as erratic as is this one, because there's a strong possibility or probability for the gap to be filled down. Okay, when the stock gapped up, there's a strong possibility for the price, for the price to gap down, to fill the gap down. So even though we're seeing a strong upward momentum, even though T made it to the strong upward momentum category, I would say that it happened inorganically. It was a natural promotion, so to speak. Okay, now let's take a look at T's traded and volume distribution. See, it's even quite challenging to identify the dominant one. It looks like it's evenly distributed all all throughout the traded price points. But if we are to select one, so I'm going to give that to you. It's between 1.21 to 1.35. It's closer to the intraday high than the intraday low. I am bullish on T based on what I have seen on these charts, on this chart and on the indicators that I am checking. However, I have some reservations in entering a new trade on T. If you have had T since when? Well, I don't think there are some signal. I don't think there were buy signals that appeared at least in the past few weeks. So I don't think I have to give a piece of advice for those who have had T, unless you disrespected your trailing stop loss. Let's say you bought at near 1.22 and you're still holding it even when it was when it dropped at 0.70, 0.80 or 0.83. it's uh it's quite risky to trade T at this moment. So I suggest, let me change that sentiment that I gave from bullish to neutral, because I myself won't trade T. Okay, but that's my personal sentiment on T. It's up to you. Maybe you are more risky than I am. You are riskier. You have a higher risk tolerance than I do. Okay, so monitor. My piece of advice, special for the newbies, monitor T for now. Don't enter, don't risk, don't risk it for now. Okay, continue monitoring T. Anyway, we still have a lot more stocks to check. Okay, so right next stock in the list we have Chelsea. It closed today at 6.70. Support is at 6.21. Resistance is at 7.18. We are seeing a green candlestick. It closed above the VWAP of 6.56. It's a tall green bullish volume. How about the trade and volume distribution? Let's see. So yes, the dominant range is between 6.55 to 6.7. It's in favor of the buyers. Okay. Now, MACD is still bullish. It has been bullish since April 26, and the conditions of my 10 SMA and MACD combo were met on April 26. And if you are loyal to my 10 SMA and MACD combo, then you must have earned a lot already on Chelsea. On the April 26th, it closed at 5.37, and where is it at now? Where is it now? It's at 6.70. Yes? All right. You should, on Chelsea alone, you should have already recovered your subscription fee. All right. So on the DMI, how about the DMI? Later we'll check the trade and volume distribution chart to see if all 4 points are perfectly present. But for now, DMI is telling me that Chelsea has a strong upward momentum. The upward momentum is still on a very strong category. That's what it means. All right. RSI is still quite far from the classical overbought level, so there's still more room for Chelsea to wiggle its way towards 7 peso per share or 7.18 if it can make it all that way. Okay, so let's see. Chelsea is trade. Oh, I showed that to you already, and they are all 4 points are present on Chelsea. So if you have had Chelsea since the conditions of my 10 SMA and MACD combo have been met, then you either hold your position or you top up within the most dominant range. If you don't have Chelsea, calculate your reward to risk ratio first, just like what I mentioned in our quick start guide. I also emphasized that one, the habit of calculating your reward to risk ratio in my advanced seminars. Check your handouts, please. Those who attended my advanced seminars. Calculate your reward to risk ratio. If you're happy with that, then that's when you do a test buy within the dominant range. Okay. Next we have PHA. PHA closed today at 0.83. The acting support is at 0.59. It broke below its previous support rather, at 0.90, and that one is now acting as its resistance level. It closed, I'm seeing a red candlestick, obviously, as you can as well if you're watching this video and not just listening to it. It also closed below its VWAP of 0.84. I'm seeing a red bearish volume. MACD, take a look at this one. MACD already registered the death cross, meaning to say it crossed below the signal line. And by the way, PHA is already moving below the 10 SMA, so we don't see buy signals here. Is that a sell signal? Not necessarily. For all you know, FYI, we are using a trailing stop loss here as the only rule when we are going to sell. So where is your trailing stop loss? Has it already been hit? If your answer is yes, then sell. Either everything or in tranches. It's up to you. Okay, let's take a look at the trade and volume distribution chart of PHA. PHA's dominant range is between 0.83 to 0.85. That's in favor of the sellers. No buy signal yet. If you have had PHA, you should have actually sold a long time ago just by looking at this trend. It's been in a downtrend since January, since the last trading days of January 2019. Okay, so I'm not going to give you any piece of advice for those who quote unquote still have PHA, because none of you should not have PHA already by now. And if you have PHA and you bought where? You bought above 1.25, that only means one thing. You're not using trailing stop loss and you're not following my advice. Okay? So don't set yourself up to a more frustrating than profitable experience trading the stock market, please. Follow your trailing stop loss and respect it, because it doesn't make sense planning only to disobey it in the end. Okay? If you don't have PHA, good. Don't enter a new position yet. Continue monitoring for now. Alright, moving on to the next stock. Green. Unfortunately, the last candlestick today is not green. It's red. And it closed below its VWAP of 2.34. It's already moving below its 10 SMA. MACD has been moving below the 10 SMA since when? Since April 26 or April 25. None of you should have green by now. None of you should have green by now. Unless you are disrespecting your trailing stop loss once again. Okay, please don't tell me that you employed a 50% risk tolerance, because that's insane for me. I've never applied 50% risk tolerance in my trading career. Okay, so there are no buy signals. What should I say? Support is at 2.25, resistance at 2.90. Let's see if it will consider 2.25 as a rebounding zone, but apparently it looks like there's a high probability for the stock to test the previous support at 1.90. Well, let's see. Let's see. There's still a probability for a rebound at 2.25, but if the traders won't think that way, they will continue selling until it becomes too cheap to be ignored at 1.90. Well, let's wait and see. Okay, this is the dominant range. It's between 2.28 to 2.23 in favor of the sellers. So don't buy just yet. Watch 2.25 if and when the 4 points that we're monitoring become all present at 2.25. Make it 2.2 to 2.25. If they are all present, then do a test buy. Do a test buy. Do a test buy, sir, even when MACD is not yet above the signal line, and even when the price is still not above the 10 SMA. Well, that's an option for you. It's an option for you to preempt the 10 SMA and MACD combo. Okay? But if you would like to be very sure that the ascendant price is more likely to continue, then wait for the 10 SMA and the MACD combo to become true as well. Okay? It's all about your risk tolerance. If you are a high risk trader like me, then you may want to take the option to, in preempting the 10 SMA and MACD combo. But if you are a high risk trader, if you're not a high risk trader, then wait for the 10 SMA and MACD combo to become true, and wait for all 4 points to become true as well. Okay? There's no universal law when that says, okay, don't buy, don't sell. I'm giving you some options here, and not just options based on what I think, feel, or believe. I'm giving you data-driven options. Okay? Tried and tested data-driven options, strategies. Okay, so don't buy green just yet. Next, we have GSMI. GSMI closed today at 42.60. Some folks realized some gains near 44.5 or 44.46. That's the resistance. Support is at 38.4, which is in confluence with the 61.8% up Fibonacci retracement. Okay, so I have plotted an up Fibonacci in this case. Okay, now where's the support again? Near 38.4 or 38 point between 38.4 to 38.5. Okay, this one. Let me remove this line so you can see it clearly. 38.5. And there's another one as well. Let me remove this line also. At 34.70, it could act as a support as well. Now, what if GSMI will register another green candlestick by the next trading day? What if it crosses above 44.5? Where will be the next resistance then? No problem. Let's take a look at the 61.8% up Fibonacci extension. That would be near 54.50. All right. Take a look at this. It's very interesting to me. Foreign investors have become so active registering net foreign buying days on GSMI since when? Since May 6. Today they bought about 6.2. I know it's not as significant, as huge as their participation on index companies, but their presence on GSMI for the past few weeks has become very noticeable. Okay, MACD is also still bullish. So if you have had GSMI, by the way, let's check when were the conditions of my 10 SMA and MACD combo met. When were they met for the first time? Here, May 6. May 6. So if you are loyal to my 10 SMA and MACD combo, take a look at this. You could have bought GSMI between 30.5 to 36. 30.5 to 36. And even though you entered a new position at 36, not bad. Because yesterday it hit 44.75. Yes. You bought at 36, you sold at, let's say you sold at 44. Not bad. And what if your trailing stop has not been hit yet? Okay? And it recovers even above 44.5. Okay? So the upward momentum is still very strong based on my reading on my DMI histogram. RSI, however, is already playing inside its classical overbought level. That could be one reason why these short-term traders decided to lock in some profits. You can do that too. You can actually, if your trailing stop loss has been hit, it's either you sell everything or you sell a few tranches. Or if your trailing stop loss has not been hit yet, you can preempt it by selling a few tranches as well. There's nothing wrong with that. It's a gain already. You have gained already. It's not a sinful habit to sell at a gain. Okay? What's wrong is that it's already moving below your tolerable risk and you're still holding on to that stock. Okay? You can hope and pray, but don't use the two as your only tools when it comes to trading. Okay? Alright, so let's take a look at the trade and volume distribution chart of GSMI. The dominant range is between 42.5 to 43.6. 42.5 to 43.6. Is it closer to the intraday? Is it in favor of the buyers or the sellers? It's in favor of the buyers still, courtesy of this huge volume between 43.1 and 43.6. On the trade chart right here, the left side, it looks like it's in favor of the sellers, but on the right side, it's in favor of the buyers. Okay, so there you go. There you go. It's actually it looks like a tug of war on the trade and volume distribution chart of GSMI. It looks like a tug of war between the buyers and the sellers. So it appears like a neutral sentiment on the trade and volume distribution chart. But even though, if we are just to consider today's trading, like what happened, like only what happened today, I would say, of course, that it's bearish already because we're seeing a red candlestick. It closed below its VWAP of 43.10. We're seeing a red volume bar. Of course, all 4 points will not become present. Okay, but from the general perspective's point of view, I would say that GSMI is still bullish. It's still bullish. Okay. Just now all a matter of respecting your trailing stop loss, and you should know where it is. Okay, for GSMI. Okay, next we have CNPF. So CNPF closed today at 14.72. Support is at 14.54. Resistance is at 15.7. It closed below its VWAP of 14.77 also, and we are seeing a red bearish volume. Foreign investors sold about 6.3 million. They registered a net foreign selling worth 6.3 million. MACD is still moving above the signal line, and the price is still moving above the 10 SMA. And I am seeing a weakening downward momentum. Weakening. Is it a downward momentum? Yeah, weakening. No, it's not a weakening downward momentum, but a weakening negative DMI. A weakening negative DMI. However, the positive DMI is not poised for a bullish convergence with the negative DMI. It's in a bearish convergence. It's actually moving in a bearish convergence with the negative DMI. So that's not a convincing buy signal for me for CNPF, even though MACD is above the signal line and the 10 SMA is still up, and the price is still moving above the 10 SMA. Okay, not yet, uh, not yet a convincing buy signal for me. Okay, so let's see this one. There's a possibility for CNPF to retrace or revisit the previous area below 14.54. Let's take a look at its trade and volume distribution chart. The dominant range is between, let's see, what happened at 15.8 and 15.06, 78, but very flimsy number of trades. I suppose huge cross trades happened between 15.06 to 15.08, so I'm going to disregard that. The dominant range, I'm going to give it to 14.58 to 14.8 in favor of the sellers. Okay, there you go. So if you have CNPF, let's say you bought CNPF where? Let's say you bought it, I don't know, I don't think you bought it at near 13.3 because I did not see any buy signal happening there. See, our MACD was still below the signal line at 13.3. But just in case you bought, let's say you bought near that level, just respect your trailing stop loss. And if it was hit today, then you should have already sold. Now, if you don't have CNPF, please don't enter a new position yet. Wait for the confirmation of our buy signals. Wait for their appearance. Wait for them to appear. What are your options? We have the 10 SMA and MACD combo, and you can preempt that. And the 4-point criteria that we are always checking. Once they are present, then do a test buy. Today they are absent, so don't do a test buy yet. So lastly, we have APX. APX closed today at 1.06 support. I had to plot a down Fibonacci so that we can see the psychological support. So we have one at 0.94, which is in confluence with the 38.2% of the down Fibonacci extension. You have another one at 0.90 in confluence with the 50% of the down Fibonacci extension, and you have another one at 0.86, which is in confluence with the 61.8% of the down Fibonacci extension. So you have 0.94, 0.9, and 0.86. Those are your support, psychological support levels. Resistance is at, you can say 1.26, which is in confluence with the 38.2% retracement. You have one at 1.22 in confluence with the 50% retracement. You have one at 1.18, which is in confluence with the 61.8% retracement. So those are your support and resistance levels for APX. It's bearish for me. The downward momentum is still very strong based on my DMI readings. Let's check at the trade and volume distribution chart of APX. Yes, it's in favor of the bears, sellers. It's between 1.06 to 1.14. Alright, so don't buy APX yet. And I'm not going to give any piece of advice for those who have had APX, because you should not have APX. It has been in a downtrend since last year, November last year. I did not see any buy signal since then. Alright, so there you go. You've heard my technical analysis, recommendations, and trade setups for these 10 stocks in preparation for the next trading day. I would recommend that you also, if you see on the seminar section that I have an advanced seminar happening near your area, please attend one. It will be an opportunity for you to learn in person the strategy and more that I am teaching you here at the Equilist Analytics. So we have one here at in Angeles City, Baguio City. Angeles City on June 29th, Saturday. Baguio City on July 6, Cebu City on July 13, Davao on July 27, and there will be more in Laguna or Cavite, then another one in Iloilo, CDO. They will be posted soon. The early bird rate is still up. I suggest that you book your ticket, and by the way, I can only accommodate 20 to 30 people per event. It's my deliberate intention to limit it to 20 to 30 people. Why? So that I will have ample time to ask every attendee, every student, one by one. Okay? There you go. Again, my name is JC De Guzman for Equilist Analytics. Have a great day.